Alright, this will start part 2 of vid 2. In this we're going to start actually drawing pieces parts and putting them into our project. Alright, I now am going to save this, and I now want to put in effectively my gel holder, which will also be my gel. Well, that's going to be a rectangle. Well, I don't want my rectangle to be filled because that would sort of make life difficult in seeing everything. So if you look over here with the X'd out box that says no, don't have any color. So there's that. This is the size of the stroke. Well, let's look at this. That's pretty ugly. I don't want anything quite that huge. So let's take that out. Let's go back and let's drag down and let's make it about 2. I can always change this later, and that doesn't matter. And we're going to say we want something that looks about like that. Now that's off center, but if I highlight this whole thing, I can use my arrow keys and move it back. Alright, so that's a reasonable size, and I can see the outline of the gel. Alright, and save. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to put in, or what I'm going to do is put in blank wells. And the wells are going to be used in this case as placeholders. I will put my compounds on, each compound will go on its own layer, but I need to know where I'm going to place it. So again, I'm going to choose a rectangle, and I'm going to draw one over here because I'm going to size it in a moment. Alright, I want this to be 10 wide, and when I was playing with this before, I made it 25 tall. And now what I can do is take this guy, and I'm going to put it in the middle, approximately, he says. Alright, now, with that selected, I can, let's do it so you can see. I can copy, and I'm going to paste in the center. Goodness knows that doesn't look like a center to me, but that's okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that over, and that lines it up. Notice that if I did this correctly, nope, not going to work. Sometimes it very nicely gives you the line. All right, now how many of these do I want? Well, it turns out that I'm going to have 5 wells that have compounds in them, and I'm going to have an outside well top and bottom. So that's a total of 7. So there's 2. Now what I'm going to do is copy and paste. I did that with the Command C, Command V, and I'm holding down the Shift key, and that moves them quickly, and it doesn't get them quite the way I want, so I come down. And if I do Command V again, I get another 2. How wonderful is that? I get easily irritated with not getting things quite there fast enough and usually overshoot. Alright, now if I grab all of these and move it down a bit, and now I can collect this one, copy, paste. Good, I got both of them. I didn't want both of them, so I'll delete one. And there you can see it's sort of lining up with some of them. Alright, that looks like sort of a haphazard line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these guys, and if I go under Modify, Align, now I have to decide if I want horizontal or vertical centers. And I think I want the horizontal centers, and I want those lined up. So if I click on that, poof. If you watch carefully, we do Command V, you can watch them jump apart, and Command Y, you can jump them back together again. Now, what you have to do for your own aesthetics is decide, are the gaps evenly spaced enough or not? And if you get, paranoid about it, you can move the whole thing around. Now, I need to put a plus and minus up here, but that's not going to happen real well. So I want to move the whole thing down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to go Modify, Group. And now that whole piece becomes a group, and I can move it all together. And that makes life a whole lot easier. All right, with my text tool, and I'm going to probably make wrong choices here. I'm going to put a plus sign here, and I don't want the plus. I believe a plus should be red. And over here, I will put a minus sign, and I will change its color to black. And I'm going to make that bold. And I'm going to come back here and bold that as well. All right, that looks pretty good. But what I want to do is I want to put a circle around them so that it is a little more obvious as to what those are. So I'm going to come and I'm going to get an oval. And again, I've got a fill that I don't want. So I will click on the fill and click on nothing. 2 is probably going to be about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull an oval around here, and I can then move and go, yeah, that, all right, it is, if we get excited about this, which I usually do because I'm stupid that way, I'm going to make these 45. You can't tell the difference, and I couldn't tell the difference if I had to, but it makes me feel good. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit, copy, or Command C, whichever, and then I'm going to edit, paste in center. And the only reason I do that is because it is not going to be on top of itself. And then I can drag this over, and now those guys are together. Now, I'm going to group and group. And if I got really excited about it, I could group everything together if I wanted to. But I don't want to yet because this guy should probably come over, and it's going to line up, and this pretty much lines up the way it is. All right. So the bottom of the circle is on a grid line. The plus or minus is lined up on an edge. And again, I'm going to save this. Now, I've got everything basically set up and ready to continue on. What we also could do at this point is we could add a layer and put text into it, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So your deal is to get all of this set up and saved and ready for our next project. Now, with that saved, I'm going to do save as, and I'm going to do _COPY. Now, what I can do, we'll make that copy 1. What I can do is when I go to the next phase, which is to actually start putting the compounds in, if I mess it up, I can come back to my original and everything will be fine. All right, so what did we do? We put in, well, let's go back to the Word document and see if I did it correctly. The project is going to be to animate the electrophoresis. And what we did in this case was we drew the background, which effectively is the gel in its holder, which only looks like the holder at this point. You just have to believe that the gel is there. We put the wells in, and we put in the plus and minus poles. To get the wells in, we did a bunch of copying and pasting, and then we aligned the horizontal centers so that they're all lined up in a row. We then grouped those together, and we grouped them together with the outline of the holder. Then we put in the plus and the minus poles and the circles around them, and we grouped those as sets. So the negative pole and the positive pole are each grouped with their own circle, but they're not grouped with anything else. If you feel that it would be better, you can highlight everything and group the whole mess. And now if you move anything, you move it all. Either way is fine. It's all in what you feel comfortable with. All right, so there you go. Your turn to now make your own electrophoresis set.